while most of us are busy, waiting for the wrap up on Euros here, Oceanics, which is going to be the New Zealand and Australian WCQ, actually just wrapped up. Maybe 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-link crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out more Oz content. I know this is a super early morning breakdown video, but I wanted to talk about Oceanics here. There's not a lot of crazy info out, but I do have the top 32, top 8, and what one breakdown. So starting off here with your top 32 breakdown, guess what? That's Cash Tira taking the lead. I'm not going to lie to you, the amount of care that I have left for this format, minus the WCQ, it all changes after Nexus. So talking about what left of this is just for documentation, history purposes at this point in time. So Cash Tira having 7 in Top Cut, which is very, very interesting to me because that number feels extremely low when compared to the rest of everything that's kind of already present in this metagame, all real things considered. So it's still a strong force to be reckoned with, but I find that kind of interesting. Now, Labyrinth had an extremely strong showing of 5 in the Top Cut for this event. Now, once again, I'm not particularly surprised to see the larger representation of Labyrinth here, but the fact that Labyrinth has, it's taken so long for this point in time for people to kind of go, hi, maybe this deck is just Virus Turbo at this point in time. And the fact that, how many formats? This deck literally had an entire format where it got bullied by every back row removal that people were playing. And now it's finally getting the chance to kind of step on up here. One, I actually believe that people have zero clue how to play against Labyrinth. And the fact that when you're kind of looking at how the rest of the metagame is, I mean, if you hit the Eradicator, the deck dev, there are a lot of free matchups that you can win because deck building is so sporadic in between variations. So we had a large representation of those. LTS, or what we're going to call Live Twin Sprite here, had 4 showings in the Top Cut. Once again, I'm not surprised about that. When you look at functionally how this deck has done its thing, this whole format, the deck is just one big generation engine. And yeah, I've been on record, every deck profile that we've done for this deck, the advantage engine is going to be, the Sprite package it filters through. It's the heart and soul of the deck. Then you have your massive draw package / interruption package in the Power of Runic. And guess what? More draw power and consistency among the Evil Twin package. It's ridiculous. Now, what actually shocked me out of this entire event was there were 4 purely players, 4 of these things that stepped up into the format here and said, you know what? We're going to actually crash this party and we're going to do something here. A lot of people tossed purely up into the dumpster and said, no, this deck is back, especially for a large-scale event like this. I actually found that to be kind of interesting that this deck made its way so strongly into Top Cut here. Then we had 3 Rika. I'm actually really happy to see that Plants did get a nice showing here. Plants have struggled, wuggled the entire format here. Let's be honest here. It is cool that they now are getting the chance to play Spiritual Water Art Aoi. Unfortunately, with this particular variant, I don't know if they were playing Aoi or not, but you got to be aware that it is in fact something that the deck can actually do at this point. And then of course we had the For Hire Sprite deck. This deck I would dub is the literal toxic pile of cancer, this format, because the fact that this deck can get a draw 9 off of it is awful. It is, oh my gosh, it is a real problem. Branded back here, still laughable. Well, we had 2 branded decks in the entire Top Cut. Branded's a good deck, Robbie. Don't worry. Yeah, it looks like a really strong deck to me, man. It's so strong back here that it did not get more than 2 into Top Cut. It made its way in the top 16, but that's it. Only 2 Dragon Link. I mean, to be fair, it's more of a regional special type of thing. And then the Mana DM player creeped in here. Congratulations to the Mana DM player. You're our rogue pick of the event. You did it. Nothing else really matters in the grand scheme of the metagame pie chart, but Mana DM did it. And we had a Nimble Sprite deck creeping in here. But let's be honest here. 4 plus 3 more plus the Nimble Sprite, you had 8 Sprite variants in Top Cut. It's almost like Sprite is a splashable engines. Crazy. But I mean, to be fair, you also had, what, like 4, and then 3 of those variants were all playing the Runic package. So Runic also, had some sort of, representation here. I love how they just call it for hire Sprite. It's probably for hire Runic Sprite, all real things considered, because you're not going to be playing that package unless you're packing in, the incredibly good stuff. So that is your top cut out of Oceanics. It's not as exciting as it actually looks, but I mean, it is the big event here. Top 8. Woo. Oh boy, this is where things start to get uninteresting, as we're going to say here, because we have 4 Cash Tira decks in the top cut for this event. Yeehaw, partner. It's okay. It's okay. The story changes once we get in the top 4 here. We have 2 Purely Duelist. That's right. Out of that top 32, Purely crawled its way up here. It worked its way up from the bowels of that defeat and the last ban list, and it's sitting here in the top cut. It's pretty good. It really is. We also had 1 Labyrinth Duelist here, and Nimble Sprite just proves that it's the most consistent version of Sprite. Yeah, that's a laughable joke. I think the for hire version is way better, but it is the one that did succeed for this tournament, so that's something really worth saying here. Now, top 4. I'm not going to make a graphic for this, but top 4 is going to be Cash versus Labyrinth, and then Cash versus Purely. And you know what's hilarious about that entire thing? One Cash Tira player beat the Labyrinth player, and then the Purely player won out against the other Cash player. Also in top 8, there was a Purely mirror match. I have no idea how in the world, how unfun that must have been. But the grand finals for this event was Cash Tira versus Purely. And you know what? In all excitement and all traditionally exciting things, I wish Purely would have won out, but it did in fact lock down a second place. That's good. That's what you want to see here. All right, now we do have a deck profile here. This was a 35th placer out of Oceanics here, which, to be honest with you, is not like crazy, but you have to remember it's still Purely. Like, so many people were like, oh my gosh, Purely's dead, nobody's gonna play this trash anymore. It's still something, all right? Like, the deck still has the same consistent, issues it did have, but if players aren't playing around it anymore, they're not appropriately side decking for this, then they will lose the game. That is as much as it's going to happen at this point in time. It's the same thing in pretty much all games of Yu-Gi-Oh! That if you're not prepared for a certain matchup, you will inherently lose the game. And I think this is a good showcase. Dark Rollers, Lightning Storms, the thrust into the talents to be able to toggle for whatever option trees you need. Like, deck looks extremely straightforward. I mean, 35th place, it might not be, the most exciting thing out here, or even like the craziest thing, but you got to give it to the deck because it has real resilience going for it. So, what are my real final thoughts out of this? Well, like I said, Euros will be wrapping up here. We'll be heading on into the top 64. It's going to be a much larger event than this. Whatever you are expecting out of Euros is probably going to be what you're going to see out of the WCQ. It's probably going to be won by Cash Tira. As much as I want to see like an upset, I liked what we had out of Australia here, or out of Oceanics here, to kind of prove to us that there was some particular hope for something a little bit different. All right, the fact that you could see a different possibility or a different outcome would be very cool. But once again, remember, you only have one more event for this block, and then you enter into Duelist Nexus. We restart the regional season, and we start the grind all over. The top of the, food chain is coming for the format, minus, Worlds. But Worlds is an entirely different avenue in playfield. So just be patient. We'll see how this goes, but I think that this will set a very strong presence for what you're going to be expecting here, at least for the last of the block. So, Purely, evidently, is a deck that you can just pick up and have some sort of success with. Didn't really see that one coming today. Please, if coming up on too much, I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons! Thank you. Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.